Welcome back. It's Mickey Mikeworth, and I am going to put on my little thingamabob so you can hear me. So, welcome. It is Mickey Mikeworth, and today we're going to talk about prosperity and prosperity mindset, and specifically these little tiny pieces that we kind of add up together to help shift our mind towards the direction that we're trying to go. And today we're going to talk about mindfulness and really giving you some new ways to think about being mindful and to really kind of unwind some of there's a lot of garbage that we hear about what is mindfulness. So I'm going to give you the prosperity mentality definition and tie it into some other bodies of work. So many of you who have done other forms of therapy have used the concept wise mind, right? That is a practice of wise mind. It's a perspective specific to transcendence. And when we're talking about that, a lot of times people are using mindfulness in what I call pious energy, where they're looking for silence and quieting, and they're there to kind of quiet the mind and look inward. And what I am kind of going to remind you that not all mindfulness is inward. So when we look at mindfulness, mindfulness is a how question. So it is in a prosperity mindset, it is not necessarily to be in pious, quiet energy that is setting back. It is to be present in the energy of the moment. It is often being in what we call the third way of being. It's being in the common shared existence of the moment. Being mindful is when you are willing to move with your goals, to move to allow a different perspective, to move to open up wisdom, widen the scope. So, mindfulness, when you think about it from a prosperity mindset, I need you to think about it as informed action. And mindfulness is really often a how question. How is this impacting me? How am I seeing things? I've got a little list here that I'm kind of referring to. So, right, how can I look at a different perspective, widen the scope of observation, describe and view the self and the world non-judgmentally? How can I be in the situation differently? How can I also be here without a set of conformist rules? So sometimes it is mindful of the emotions that I'm feeling, of the things that are welling up within me, myself. And when we think about mindfulness, it is also honoring what comes up. So when we think about that as active energy, it's not that I'm taking myself out of something and really kind of being in that prayerful space. It is that stepped into the energy, that I am present with the energy. So mindfulness is a how question. How am I doing? How am I enjoying this? Am I looking around? Is there a new perspective here? And being mindful in your own life is also about being an ally, which is active energy. But being a mindful person is that you are taking the time to sort the things as they're coming in. So sometimes I'll be mindful of my time, that I'm taking too much time on one activity and it's taking away from another. Sometimes I am mindful on what I'm feeding myself in energy, in content, in tasks, in self talk. It's being mindfulness to it and to really say, is this the best thing for me? And being with that in reflection doesn't mean I'm disengaged. It actually means I'm engaged. So when we're engaged in the things that we are mindful of, and sometimes that is around paying attention to the wisdom that I already have. So sometimes I will say to myself, how is this informing the wisdom I already carry? How is this mindful, right? How is this informing the wisdom that I already carry? How is this supporting me in my top 5 goals? How is this supporting me as this other thing. And sometimes that mindfulness allows me to take a breath and to just allow my mind to fill with a new vantage point. Because a lot of times we will stick back to an old method, right? That we're just wired to that thing back there. But we are learning to be more present in our lives. That is why you're in class. That is why you're doing the work. That is why you're showing up every day, is to live a life of purpose and value, and that it should not be difficult to be you, that you get to be you, and you get to have a wonderful life, and you get to figure out how to do that. And to claim that is a riotous act. It is one that we really have to claim, and we have to be our own ally. We have to be strong in what we are thinking and feeling. We have to know what that target is, right? So when you're looking at that target, you hear it from me many times. You are going to define that target. You're like a bow, right? Like a person with a bow and arrow, right? I'm going to pull that bowstring back, boom, and I'm going to try to hit a bullseye every time. And that bullseye every time is to be well within. You want to focus every day to be well within. And that also means being mindful of what is making me not feel well within, and to take a minute. And that's where the quieting comes in. That's where the receptivity comes in. It's not to be in a prayer mode. It is to be quiet with that energy. It's not to try to get into some transcendental space. It is really there to still be active and present, and to sort and to sort. And so when I go to pull that arrow back, I want to hit that bullseye. If I know I am not well within, I do need to take that spiritual moment and go, wow, okay, what is it that's blocking? What are the obstacles that my heart has to moving forward at wellness? At what is keeping my heart feeling like it doesn't want to opt in, right? When it doesn't feel like it has agency. So it doesn't have the ability to move forward and lean in. Mindfulness is, as a how question, is how is this impacting me? How is this hurting me? How is this working? So when you're thinking about mindfulness, I want you to just expand your vision to understand that oftentimes when I have mindfulness, I really have a how question. And it is how is this? So think about it as a how question, and think about what different perspective might be needed. And then take that time, that wise mind time, to really think about getting quiet with your ideas and sorting them. What you will find is the more often you do it, the more often, and this is your secret tip, the more often that you go through and practice mindfulness for just 4 minutes, 6 minutes, 8 minutes, just in a moment, and you start really focusing in on that morning bow and arrow, right? I'm going to lean it back, and I'm going to try to hit that target, and that target is well within. If I am not feeling well within, now comes mindfulness. Now comes mindfulness. I'm not leaning back and coming out of my reality. I'm staying in my reality. I'm quieting my mind, and I'm starting to ask different questions about that. Not why isn't this working? It is to say how questions. How am I willing to move with this? How is this supporting me? How am I feeling an obstacle, but not necessarily recognizing an obstacle? So when you're thinking about in your spiritual practice, you're going to stay in that active energy. And then once those questions get answered, it is often that this is a time to do something again. So mindfulness, right? Ask it a how question, and then that how question is going to give you another chance to say, do I need to lean in? Is there something that I need to lean in with agency? Is there something I can do about that? Or do I actually then need to sit back and really realize that there's nothing for me to do? that I can calm myself because peace starts within. Peace within is within us. So it may be that you actually need to sit back in peace and don't underestimate the power of peace because you deserve peace. We all deserve peace. Our parasympathetic system needs peace. So thank you once again. Thank you for being willing to show up, for doing the work, for saying, yes, I do want to magnify everything in my life from a point of prosperity. And thank you for coming to the table all of these days that you are coming to get some nourishment, to get some life force, to get another way to think about your own life. That is an investment in you. And I really appreciate that investment that you're making into yourself because every time that you understand you a little better, it's an invitation for someone else to invite themselves to understand them a little better. And that gracious, conscious effort that you are making is how we become peacekeepers in the world. Because when there is peace within you, there's peace around you. And you're taking the time to understand how you think about things will allow everyone else to think about them, or it will allow you to have the right words at the right moment, but it will change the pattern. So that's what you are doing every day you tune in. So thank you. I personally appreciate it. All right, I will see you in class. Thank you so much for showing up today. And yeah, it's just a how question. See you later.